All right, so today, or tonight rather, changing the air cylinder for the fifth wheel slide release. There's your part number. Mine has a hole in it. We've been working at it for a while. It's up under there. I've already put WD-40 on the bolts. I didn't have any PB Blaster. Laid me a tarp down underneath. Got some tools down there, some tools up there. Going to get the right sockets and wrenches for the bolts. There's 2 bolts, 1 airline. So we're going to go ahead and get that knocked out. Once I got it on, I'll tell you a little bit about it. God willing, it works. And I'll give you an explanation of the system, the situation that I was running into, or the problem, and how I fixed it. But it's a little late, and I need to go ahead and get started on this and get it working and get to bed. So I'll talk to you here in just a few moments. All right, so we've got the old part out, as you can see. Got it sitting right next to the new one. It looks a little more compressed than the new one, so that means I may have to work to get it in by, you know, just applying pressure to one side. It's filthy because you got a lot of grease coming off of the drive shaft back there that's always flung up when they grease the truck. So it can be a dirty job, but there's only 2 bolts. I had one of these ratcheting box ends. I used a 19 millimeter, and then I used a 3/4 with the impact. You're going to need an extension for your impact where you see these airlines, because you're just not going to be able to get your impact unless you got a ratcheting wrench. But you should be able to get your impact in on the this side here, no problem. And you just stick a box in to hold the bolt on the top end, and then zip. So make sure you clean your airline. It's going to have just as much oil as you see and grease as you see on here on the airline. So wipe the airline off. This is 2 parts. So this part goes to a coupler right there, and then there's another line that goes maybe, I don't know, 8 inches, and it connects into this cylinder. So seems to be going well. Let me go ahead and put the new one in, get it buttoned up, and test it. Alright, well, I got it installed. I don't know if the orientation of this is going to come out properly, but what I would suggest is that you wear some safety goggles or glasses, because what you're going to do is get a lot of debris with everything that you touch. It's just going to fall in your face from up under here. But this seems to be the easiest way for me to get to it without leaning over the fifth wheel and getting all that grease into my clothing. So I am up under the truck looking at it from underneath. As you can see, you've got a bolt here, and you've got another one right there. And you do have to take and compress this by pulling it back to slide it over the yoke or fork or whatever that is that holds the fifth wheel in place. You can do it with one hand, and then you just connect your airline here, as you can see, and it fits together with the way all other airlines fit. Just press it and then pull on it to make sure it's locked. And now we're gonna go and see if it's working. So I'll give you a backstory on exactly every step that I took and why I needed to change it. As you could probably already come to a conclusion as to why I needed to change it, but a lot of that fifth wheel grease comes from the top also. As soon as I took this out, you can see the area where the kingpin goes into right on the other side. So putting too much grease on your fifth wheel, all of it just gets pressed in and comes right through the top and hits that spring and covers that airline. So might be something I would watch in the future, but you can do what you want. But it's on there. All right, so what was going on? Well, I had a heavy load, and I don't typically carry heavy loads, but in this particular instance, I had a heavy load, right? And it needed to be scaled properly. I went to scale it. Obviously, it was bad. So I went ahead and went to my fifth well slide. I went to that button, and as you know, it did not work. It didn't work at all. Now, this is a solenoid, so it's supposed to click. It didn't click. There was no air. There was no nothing. So I had to take that same air cylinder apart by removing the two bolts, pulling in those forks and pushing the fifth wheel all the way to the back. And then I put it back together and went on ahead and carried my load, and it was scaled properly. I never ended up fixing it because initially all I thought was that it was this, because this is always leaking. You can always hear it hissing air. So I'm like, all right, I'll fix it. I'll get around to it. I don't typically have to scale my loads because I already know what they weigh. Plus I've got a gauge in there that tells me, and I don't carry 45,000 pounds. I max myself out at 35 because they're not paying enough for you to be pulling 45,000 pounds anywhere. So my max is 35,000 pounds right now, and I barely even pull that. This one right now weighs 27. Anyway, it got to a point to where obviously you want to start fixing things. So I started with the coupler. I think it was anywhere between $12 and $20. Fixed it. Oh wait, let me back up. I didn't fix that first. First, I needed to find out where the solenoid was. Now, I watched a couple videos, and none of the people on these videos show you where the solenoid is. They show you what it looks like. You can find it online. I'm gonna cut through the chase. I'm gonna show you exactly where it's at. It is not on the back of the tractor on the frame, which is what you'll commonly hear. It is right there. Those are the 4 solenoids all connected together. See those blue wire connectors that go in there? Those are your solenoids. One of them's black, 2 of them are white. 2 of them are black, 2 of them are white. You see the one that looks clean? That's the clean one, the clean black one. That's the one that I had to tap and hit for it to start working again. So it's right above the transmission on a 2015 Peterbilt 579. You can see the shifter for the transmission right there. So it's right there in front of you, right in the middle, or right up under the driver's side floorboard. You have to put your hand under there and get to it somehow. I took a box wrench and I was able to tap it, and it worked. So I hit the button and got an air leak, one that I already knew about. Went and bought that piece, put it together, thought it would work, heard more air leaking. Went on the other side, found out that it was leaking, I believe from right there, but I can't be sure. I'll be honest with you, I don't know where it was leaking from. But as you can see, it's ancient. It's probably a 2015 air cylinder. It's 2024, July. So it definitely put in some work. But now that we got the new one on, let's cut this loud ass APU off and see if it actually works. I'll get back to you in just a second. All right, so something else I want to stress. When you're dealing with anything that has air associated with it, you want to go under there and pull those little levers that they taught you about in school that release the air. You drain your tanks. So I dumped my airbags, as you can see. I went up under the side of the truck over here on the driver's side, and primary and secondary tanks. Took all of the air out. It makes disconnecting air lines on the truck very easy. If you're trying to do that with air in the system, if you're working anywhere with your feet around the tires, anything up under the truck, you just shouldn't do it, because you already know that the truck is going to lose air and the body is going to settle. That means everything is going to go down. The cab is going to go down. So the cab airbags will be deflated. The rear airbags on the frame, those are going to deplete. Everything. So for your own safety, just take all of the air out to begin with. It's all interconnected, so it'd be silly for you to think that you could change something like that and work the system somehow, beat the system. So we're just gonna build up air pressure. As you can see, both tanks were empty, primary and secondary. We're gonna build that up. I'm even gonna put air back in the airbag, so I might as well do that now. We're gonna fill it all the way up, and we're gonna see if that fifth wheel slide activates. There's my suspension gauge I was talking about, right there. So without having to get on the CAT scale, I can pretty much tell how much weight I have and where it needs to be. I keep it 50 and below. No one ever taught me how to use it, but if it's at 50, it's heavy, obviously. If it's over 50, I slide the tandems. I typically like to keep it at like 40 to 30. Sometimes it goes up to like 50, but I don't go over 50 on it. So here we go. Moment of truth. Sound like it worked. Yep. Definitely worked. And that's exactly what we wanted. So I'm gonna go ahead for the first time in over a year now and slide these up. Slide this thing to about midway on this plate here. And I'll be able to move that back and forth like it's supposed to work, Also, when you're doing it, have your landing gear down. That's the best way I've found to do it. You want to lower your landing gear on your trailer. I also deplete the air in the airbags on the back of the tractor, and I measure it out just right. I don't have the fifth wheel hanging off of the kingpin of the trailer as I lower the airbags. I kind of have it gauged out just right to where I'll connect and I'll let the stability of the trailer being on the ground push the fifth wheel up and back, because any other way it typically doesn't work. I mean, when your landing gear are up and you just have all that weight sitting down, those pins typically don't like to come in. So lower your landing gear. That's what I do. It only takes you an extra minute. So let me clean my tools up and go ahead and put this thing back together. Let's get one more look at it. I'm excited about it. I'm very happy that it didn't become a problem removing. As you can see how clean that is right now? Yeah, all that grease that they put on there and it's pushing down inside of there, all it does is get onto that air cylinder, cake it up. Could be maybe one of the reasons why it failed. I'm not sure, but it's working now. I actually hear air. You hear that? Right there. So I may look to replace that cable. It's working right now, but I think I'm gonna replace that cable, that air line, that coiled up air line, and probably that coupler too. It won't cost me anything to do that. Some time, but something like this, I need it to work. So I think that does it. I think I may just do another little clip of hooking up to the trailer and showing that it actually did move it forward and all that, but I think you guys get the picture. So now if you have this issue, you know what to do. All right, I got it right where I want it. As you can see, the discolored metal, that's where it's been sitting for a year. So I got it right in the middle. All you gotta do is count the teeth. 6 on one side, 6 on the other side. It's square, dead in the middle. So that's where I want it. That's what it looks like. Easy peasy. Now we just got to get that air line, that coiled up air line, and that coupler in the back there fixed. Get that done, and I think that job is complete. While I'm at it, let me show you what the OTR tool revealed to me was the problem with the regen. For those of you who watched that video, I realized that you could actually see it on this truck. You see that cable with the heat shield on it? The silver aluminum heat shield on it? That's your CAN bus cable for your SCR, DPF, NOx, inlet and outlet sensors. It connects to all of those. And because of heat and just probably age, mine needs to be replaced. So $800 is what it costs brand new. So I'm gonna try to find the Vanderhags, see if I can snatch it off of another truck somewhere, and hopefully it's a good one. All right, that's enough for today. Hope you learned something.